quickly mention here, first off, is it looks like it's all about decisions for you in this period. It looks like there's a lot that you have kind of on your plate because things are starting to wrap up, but you also have your hands in a few other things that seem to be kind of working out, and yet there's some caution as well. So, what I want to start out with is all of the major arcana, which of course I do see here as the world card. And then we also have just sort of some minor players. However, as a side note, some of the other cards here is the Ten of Wands. And of course, that's a card that does indicate that there's been a lot of heavy burden. It is a 10, so it does indicate that there is some kind of an end cycle, something that's coming to a close. You also have the Nine of Wands, that is also an indicator that there is something that's also coming into finish up here. So either way, guys, it looks like there is something here that you've got a new way of living here, a new way of looking. Your outlook is changing. There's more of a feel of I'm ready to embark on something new, or something that is I feel I might have more control over. It's something to that effect. But it will start out again with just the major arcana. So when I see the world card out, that is your main energy in this particular read, which does indicate that you have a lot that is, like I said, wrapping up a cycle. And it does seem to be a lot of energy that has been a part of that you've been putting out. So it does mean, again, there's a completion, there's a finishing cycle. It's even understanding the self better on certain levels, but it's almost don't give up before you kind of push through this little phase here. There is some things here that are actually more positive, that you might be discounting, that somehow can better this whole scenario. But either way, I do feel like you have this sense of the world is my oyster, as this card depicts here. And it's just more of a card of self acceptance, like I said, and understanding the self and your world around you. And it's basically spiritual growth, but it is also because you found a sense of purpose, which is giving you some kind of inner peace or contentment as well that goes along with that. So it feels like there will be some kind of circle or ending to a cycle that has been cumbersome on some level, meaning a lot of energy has gone out to get to this point, like I said, because we are still dealing with a lot of cards of the clarifiers are all swords for the most part, but the energy that's being expelled is what you're pushing through with in the month of April. It feels like physically there's a lot of drain, or physically there's a lot on your shoulders. There's physically something that you have to sort of push through and be resilient with, because you will have a victory, but you have to kind of keep pushing through, follow through, do the follow through, because whatever this thing is that's kind of physically kind of holding you down or making you feel exhausted or burning you out in some way, just know that on the other end of that, there is your positive vision that is coming through here as well, even though it's more along the bottom sections here where there's more clarifiers, but I still feel like you're putting a lot of time and energy into thinking about things. But again, the energy that I feel like you're dealing with right now is feeling physically exhausted, more so in the month of April. So I feel like you kind of need to let go some of the burdens. Don't do as much physically, just because you're like push through, keep your intention, focused, small steps at a time. But I feel like you're just feeling like there's too much on you right now, responsibility, or too much that you're having to let go of in terms of, your physicality. Like I said, it feels like your priorities are you're focusing on those things, but like I said, your purpose, whatever it is that you're focusing on, is still almost just taking too much out of you at this point. So I don't know if you're healing from something. I don't know if you're needing to delegate some of those tasks, but just prioritize the to-do list instead of causing too much physical um, overwhelm to yourself at this point, because it just feels like I said, you're limit those burdens is really what I would say at this time. And that's mostly where the energy is kind of going right now. So when we get to the Three of Wands, and again, I'll do a recap with all of this as well, but the Three of Wands does indicate that there is some kind of a new opportunity that's up ahead here that you're sort of forging ahead to go toward. It's a positive change. It's movement in the right direction. It definitely feels as though this is something that may even be slightly delayed, because when I see the Three of Wands, and especially when it's coupled around all these cards of burden, it's almost like this new start is a little further out, because even though you're thinking about it, but you're still taking the steps, but it just feels like a lot of your energy needs to be freed up in some way. So whether, like I said, whether there's healing or something, or delegating more responsibility elsewhere, there is just some kind of a reward here of a dream or something or a goal that you've got your eye on. But again, it still feels as though you need to sort of, kind of lay back and give yourself a little bit of um, recoup here, because the 10 of wands and the 9 of wands, you're still in that energy of pushing through. For sure, be resilient and push through. Just, try to make sure your energy is going in the right direction. Okay, so now again, we'll get into the clarifiers here as well. But like I said, when I see the world card out here, and of course, the world card, like I said, has a lot of different connotations, because it also does indicate that there is a sense of a closing of a cycle. It does feel like that closing of the cycle seems to be around a lot of toxic or negative energies. And it feels like that's where things are starting to change and move into the zone of, more happier times. The world is opening up to you on some level. There is still a need to be cautious at this time, however, because the Seven of Swords is the clarifier here. And um, maybe I'll just bring it forward just so that it's right in full view. But again, the world card with the Seven of Swords does still indicate that there could still be some kind of deceptive energy that's around you at this time. So I would say you're moving toward, getting out of that negative sort of mindset. There's a strategy that's involved here, and it does seem to be around money, but it's also along a toxic kind of idea with the money. And I don't know why that is exactly here, but when I see it followed up with the King of Pentacles, this is money coming in. That's definitely to be worked with, but it's followed up by a toxic energy. So that with the devil. And not only that, it follows in with the Page of Swords. So whether you're dealing with a younger person here or you need to do more research in regards to something, there's something here that's still a little bit deceptive, as though something around this toxic energy is still not, you're still in it. So that's why I would say still be a little bit more cautious about what it is that you're trying to close up here, because there's something that could still be of a disadvantage to you. So even though the world card does indicate some level of success or completion and fulfillment, and you've got a lot of the 9 and the 10 wands here, which does indicate that the conclusion is quite near, the goal is quite close. It does indicate still that you're still in a space where, like I said, the Seven of Swords indicates that there's still, as well as it's right next to the devil. So there's some kind of manipulation or something here that's going on that could be causing some issue, that could cause some harm. But I would just say, just be really wary of that. So there's something there that is just not up and up. It's almost like you need to sort of strike a balance between creating a better way of dealing with the situation with the Page of Swords, doing more research, really trying to figure out what the scenario is. Because there's something that is almost feels like you're just not quite in that space of understanding something. Because whether this is the devil energy, could be, again, bad habits, things that you're more self destructive behavior for some, others are just feeling really stuck, bound to something. But it feels like it's excesses of any kind that could be coming um, into this space. And it could be even toxic thoughts, things that you're doing that sort of trap you in your own mind. Even though I feel like you're wanting to take control of your life in some way, but there's a lot of negative energy here with that devil energy, as well as that other combination with the Seven of Swords below, like I said. So there is something here where the mind is kind of working overtime with self-destructive behavior or self-destructive thoughts, that kind of thing. So I just feel like you need to kind of detox some of that. So I I see like it's more negative communications here as well, not necessarily specific depression, but there is something that's very negative in your mindset here, because it is all around the swords. So I just feel like I just feel like it's not a really great energy. There's just, like I said, there's something here that kind of speaks to a little bit being a little bit too deceptive, calculating, manipulative. And again, even with that Seven of Swords energy, it still feels like you're not free of that yet. So seven is an indicator that you need to sort of move things into more of a sense of organization. because that devil energy is chaos. The Seven of Swords, pull it together, organize things a little bit more, create um, more of a linear frame of, work with more of a linear frame in a particular scenario to get a better sense of how to move this ahead. It just feels like there's not enough structure around something that you're trying to pull together here as well. So, like I said, Seven of Swords does still indicate that there is some area of your life where there could be a little bit of deception or scheming, that kind of thing. But there needs to be more planning. There needs to be more of a linear um, transition into this. There's something here that you're not prepared for, is what I would say. So, even though you're dealing with money, there needs to be more strategy, more of a linear, more research. Kind of reconstruct the plan a little bit is what I would say there overall, because it seems like there's some scheming, but there is also maybe not, like there's a mental preparedness on some level, but it's almost like the planning still is quite strong here, and I don't know if that is deception that's actually specifically around you, or if you're causing that upon yourself, but it's almost like there's a certain sense of dishonesty as well that is coming through here. So just be wary of that. So there's a little bit of caution. That's more toward the beginning of the month. And it does seem to be in around, some new start here, because we have the Fool as well as the Two of Swords. So these are all the clarifiers. You're not quite into the full energy of this yet, but there is a lot of energy where the thoughts are already on it. It's just that the actions have not yet quite taken place. So again, there is a decision that will be further out ahead here, but it feels like there's just a lot of kind of manipulative, sort of negative energy that's you're still in the throes of here in the month of April. Um, Again, when we get to that Seven of Swords as well, there is, when I see the Fool 2.0 card, and that was the one that's out here, it's like something you are in. Something you're trying to do here is coming back around again. This is not something that is new to you. I feel this new direction is something that you've done before. So it's maybe just something you didn't follow through on. But like I said, because there's the Fool and then there's the 2.0 Fool. And that means, not really sure of all of the parts of the adventure to sort of, it's not been worked through entirely, but it does mean that you're preparing for a change or a new start. But it's a journey that you've kind of started with before, and now it's come back around again. And it feels like you have a newer, more like a new level of awareness, but you have more of a mature mindset to be able to grow and expand this. So it's a repeating cycle, and especially too because it does fall under the world card, all of that sort of ties in there. But there is some kind of brand new experience, and it is going to be something that I feel could be a leveling up for you as well. A lot of energy is being expended into this, though, so just be aware of that. And also, when it is followed up with the Two of Swords, again, there's a lot of swords in this particular read, more on the clarifier side. So it doesn't feel like you're quite in this yet, but you will be sort of dealing with this. You're all on different time zones. So time zones, making your decisions at different times as well. So you're not all making it on a Friday or a Saturday, and it may not all fall in the same week, but the energy is around you. You can always, it's fluid. It's something that can change at any time based on the decisions that you make. So just be aware this is just energy surrounding you. If you choose not to act on it, then things move in a different direction. So when you can harness good energy, that's when I think it's wise to take advantage of it as you're moving into it. So for the most part, it's into your realm of space, and now it's just a matter of making a decision to, you know, you're kind of at a bit of a crossroads at some point, or you will be kind of moving into this where you're still feeling a little bit stuck, caught in the middle, not sure how to go about, moving on this yet. But it's almost like there is barriers of the mind here as well, and that means that you're not really quite trusting the self here also. Um, yeah, so that can also bring about, insecurities and all of that. But I don't feel like there's strong insecurities necessarily. It's almost like it's just negative thought patterns because, I mean, that's not overtly insecurities that you're dealing with. But the reason why I say that is just because the energy around here is very defensive, guarded, calculating, manipulative is very strong. So, that's why I would say just be really careful in this month of April because there's something more to the story that you may not be quite aware of. And it does deal with the money aspect, not talking about relationships and specifically, but although relationships is kind of showing up here as well. So when we get to, so just to kind of recap there, there might be some negative thought patterns that are holding you back here. Of course, we do have again that world as well as the Seven of Swords combination. I'll just pull it forward there again. And of course, it was with the devil energy also there. And the Page of Swords could be dealing with a younger person here as well. But there's also a mature energy here as well because the King of Pentacles, whether that's you or another person, or dealing with somebody who has, is really good with money and generally is pretty, has a good handle on how to invest or knows what to do with money. But it's almost like there's a bit of deception around that. So just be really careful here with that combination. So it does still indicate that you may not be dealing with some honest or trustworthy people. So be very cautious. Do more due diligence, more work around researching something here. Oh, hello, Suraj. Oh, not specifically certification. I think it's just more of an intuitive thing. I mean, if you need somebody that has a lot of certification on that, by all means, you have to head in that direction. I definitely know that. I mean, we all bring different aspects to a read. I would say. I mean, I have interest in psychology and those kinds of things, so that's more my background. But again, it's more what you feel is relevant for you. So take it as it resonates. I mean, these are things that, it's like reading a book. You can get a lot of information from a book, or you can discard it and say, not relevant to me at this time. So, it's not that the information has zero relevancy. It's just that for you at this point, it may not have any relevancy. So again, it's not that it's not good information, but I think we all bring something different to the table. Each of the tarot readers are along the same line. So as it goes, I'm just reading here. Write too much on chat. I don't think so, Suraj. I don't know. Um, well, no, I have seen you on, I think, Suraj, on as another one of my channels, but you don't write too much. I actually am someone who really enjoys writing and those kinds of things as well. So I do find that, yeah, there's no such thing as right. Sometimes when you're writing things down, I actually feel it becomes more impactful. Sometimes when I take in too much information, it's like a bit of an overload. When you write it down, it almost creates a little bit of symmetry. So everything is much more logical, laid out, and it's easier to express. But yeah, so again, it's just however that works for you. Anyway, going back into the world and the Seven of Swords. Um, anyway, it does indicate that there is a sense of, betrayal that could be up there in your sphere there, however you want to, however that resonates again for you. But it does feel like you still are moving in the direction of something, so long as you're aware of it. I feel like, if you're not aware of it, it could complicate the process. But if you are aware of it, and maybe it's having some difficulty in understanding what it is that you're trying to move into here. But either way, just know that Seven of Swords does indicate that if there is a little bit of deception around this goal or this thing that you want to do, do a little more research is all that's coming out with, so that you don't damage the thing going forward that you're trying to achieve. um the other part of it is too is that there could be an underlying issue of some sort that needs some attention. um oh, sorry, I'm reading on your thing there, Saranj. Oh no, that wouldn't have been me that didn't read your chat anymore. Nope. Oh, yeah, okay, I did hear that you enjoy talking to people, which is great. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, like I say, I mean, I'm one of those people that's pretty open to different things too, joining different clubs, whatever. I think that the world can be a challenging place at times, and I think it's important just to take back our small little piece of happiness where we can find it. So it's whether it's reading a book, whether it's joining a club, something of, related around your hobbies or whatever. I still feel like we all need to move forward in some small way. It's really hard to support each other when we're all going through difficult times as well. So, again, however, whatever works for you. But I also think that there's very positive messages in tarot, as it is with a lot of different religious backgrounds and so on. There's a positive message from a lot of different avenues. So it's wherever you feel most tapped into. Um, Right. Okay, I think I do remember you saying that, Saranj. Right. But anyway, so when we get down to again, we'll just kind of go back into the reading here. So the world in the Seven of Swords does suggest some kind of achievement of success, but there could be some underlying issues that you do need to address here. So it's not quite there yet. Um, yeah. So still working in the positive though. Everything's kind of moving in the right direction. So when we get again to that Nine of Wands energy, so there's a certain sense of resistance around you to move something forward. And by the way, I do believe in astrology to a strong degree too, but I know there's some variations on that as well. But I think that there's certain energy that is stronger um, over, like again, like a major arcana. There's certain stronger energies, and besides, the card tarot cards are really just a tool. It's like crystals and all the rest of it. It's just a tool. It's actually coming from the person themselves and what it is that they feel is right, and it's kind of mixing the pieces that are all chaotic and streamlining it so it actually has makes some sense. Of course, the cards themselves have, some level of direction, but that's again, I mean, it's your interpretation always. And I think too, with astrology, there's a lot of variation, different Western astrology versus, some of the others. So that's why I say I think there's always a little bit of ambiguity with all sources of divination. Okay, anyway, back to Nine of Wands and the Knight of Swords. So there's some kind of quick communication that might be coming in here that's in regards to a connection, could be a business connection, partnership of some sort, because it is followed up by the Lover's energy. Um, but again, the Knight of Swords is still, yeah, it's some kind of communication there that is going to be taking place here in the month of April. Either way. So I'll pull that up just so you can see that the card is more visible. So again, this is the clarifier, Knight of Swords to the Nine of Wands. And again, this one is still kind of in that range of, there's also maybe a little, or you feel possibly that there's a need for some kind of self protection. And so that's why this defensive card is coming up here. And maybe it's because you feel like you're close to, exhaustion over some issues or issue. But either way, there is still, a sense of action that's being quickly communicated to you. And I feel like you are in that space of acting on it. And it is kind of a feeling of taking charge of a situation or of a connection. There's a sense of resilience, anyway, with the Nine of Wands energy there. Sorry, I'm just reading your Saranch, your thing here. The thing is, I believe in uncertainty, which means nothing can be predicted precisely, but some people don't, and I'm okay with that. Yeah, no, absolutely. The world has a level of chaos to it as well. I mean, truth be told, I mean, I have some random thoughts about, I mean, everything is energy when you look at, or even our own, physicality. I mean, there's nothing that's really dense. Everything is energy. So if everything is impacted by other energy, I almost feel like there's more than one creator as well, And again, not everybody has to fall in with that same idea. I do believe there is a specific creator, of our spiritual essence, but then there's also our physical world. So I feel like there's almost a multitude of hands that are kind of working on things to move us into a particular direction. So, take it or leave it, however it works for you. But I hate to really speak about my own personal thoughts on that. But again, it's something that you can explore for yourself. But again, back to Nine of Wands and that Knight of Swords energy, it does feel like, you're willing to take risks and make difficult decisions to achieve your goal here. I feel like you're close to, taking those steps, but there is a sense of being self protected, which is probably the best way to be, especially when you've got that devil energy and the Seven of Swords kind of coming out here. Does still feel like all of these pairings are still about just be determined and courageous and don't make hasty decisions. Really, and able to overcome an obstacle, you have to really do the work and find out more about what it is that you need to before you make some decision. And it looks like you're about to make some kind of big decision there with the Page of Swords. Maybe not in the month of April, but probably soon after. Again, all of you have different energies around you. Some people have more support than others, so you might come to certain conclusions a little faster than other people. Maybe the resources are stronger in your neck of the woods versus other people. So I just feel like again, there is some swift actions taking place here, but again, it's almost like there's too much burden for you to, there's going to come at a little bit of a price here. So when we get the, like I said, the Knight of Swords is communication that's coming through, and it's in around, it is still in around some sense of a connection. So, I mean, the Lover's card is also an indicator that there's a decision to be made here as well. So I don't feel like um, that's in this space because these are the clarifiers. Sorry, I'm reading what you said. Some sort of energy may exist because when a person dies, his weight increases by 21 grams. So who knows where that's gone. Yeah, no, I'd heard that as well, that they do, we do seem to increase in weight or decrease in weight rather, but I don't know if it was 21 grams. Anyway, I did read something about that some time ago. But I mean, I was also reading something that was kind of talking about, how we kind of move from 3D to 5D and that kind of thing. And I don't even know how if I have enough information to really explain this. It's just something I've been kind of exploring lately. But they actually talk about, kind of the divisions of the mind. Consciousness really has to be represented by something else and able to sort of see itself. So we have the corpus callosum, and that is divided brain, right brain, left brain. And when you actually think of consciousness, if you were, okay, I'm going to oversimplify this with a marble. If we were a marble or a marble of energy out in the grand scheme of things, we don't have any arms, legs, everything is just a vision, just seeing things around us, knowing that we're interconnected to the whole. How do we define ourselves and find a certain level of independence or self? And that would be by having two parts of ourself. And so it's almost like the right and the left brain are required to kind of make a whole. Again, I'm just kind of fishing around for the words, but I'm trying to make sense of those things myself, and that'll be something that I'm exploring. But there's also, when you talk about the physical world, and we talk about ants and bugs and that kind of thing, and animals not having a sense of consciousness, they actually talk about how the animals themselves are just acting in more of a physical world. I'm hungry, therefore I eat, and you go out and hunt prey. But then with our human essence, right, our spirituality that creates our consciousness, meaning we are half stuck in the physical world and we're also stuck. So I think it's really physical, just means a more dense energy, like a body shield of sorts. And then you have like a the consciousness is a sense of how you identify yourself. So if you have a body shield having to live in this world, but you have a way of identifying yourself through a spirit, and you can define yourself because of the arms, the legs, the things you touch, the interactions you have with people. There's also something there that speaks to making us multidimensional. So if the physical world creates everything with more dense energy, we can actually grow things because of our consciousness, but the physical world is defined only by what is, and that still has to come from an whether it's us or higher, those that are in I don't want to say higher powers, that's not really quite the word, but those that seem to be in control of the world and have a better, or I shouldn't say better either, because that's incorrect, but have a sense of a direction. Again, if you don't choose your own direction, someone else will choose your direction for you, and then we just fall in to whatever somebody else's agenda is. So that's why I think it's really important for us to tap into our own gifts and build and explore, not to be afraid of failure. Try to hone in on one thing and just keep, building on that. A lot of our interests tend to actually grow into the same thing as well. I think sometimes when you look at all your interests, you'll see that they all pool around one particular, intention, even though we're not maybe aware of it. Anyway, I'm going off on tangents. See, that's what you get for asking questions. Right? Anyway, okay. So back into so Knight of Swords, Lovers. Okay, so anyway, yeah. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, just because I'm probably a little ADHD here, but there is also something too when you think about an ant and, bugs and animals and how they live their life. They are living their life based on the very basics, feeding themselves, shelter, all of that, and just trying to get through in a survival mode. Humans have an ability to go beyond that. So it's like the animals live in a 3D, but theirs is a very limited 3D. It's even like there was a movie that was out around Honey, I Shrunk the Kids or something like that. And so when you kind of minimize yourself and reduce yourself down, you only see what's around you in the immediate. But when you actually raise your vibration and you kind of move into, I don't even want to say that you have to believe in yourself so much as you just need to be open to things, because believing in yourself is really more about believing in source, believing in spirit, or however you want to, break it down. When you actually have a sense of connectedness to things, you get your own ego out of the way and it's easier to achieve things. But anyway, an ant will have a whole different view of the world, even though they still live in the same world that we do, that 3D world. They still live in the same world, but they're not seeing things in the same way that we are, much like a 5D world would be. We still have a layering effect in the 3D world, but when you increase your senses and your awareness to things, you see the world in a different way. You uncover more of the foibles or see systems and all of their, you know, the things that were once things that you trusted in may now be things that you question. And that's important, is to ask the questions. Anyway, okay, I'll get back into it. So going on to Knight of Swords and the Lover's energy. Again, there's a lot of intellectual energy here. It does still speak to facing challenges and conquering them. It does feel like there could be a possible weight because of that Three of Wands energy that was in there as well. So, but again, there's still some swift action or communication that's coming in that will become clear to help you with a decision in pursuing a goal. And so I still feel like with the Knight of Swords and next to the Lover's energy, it is also followed up by the Emperor energy here as well. So Emperor is all about taking control of a situation, having a good sense of, where you stand in life, how things are going to be implemented. Thanks, Ranch. I appreciate that. My explanation really wasn't all that great, but like I say, if I write it down and say it, it'd probably have a lot more. It would make a lot more sense. But I'm just sort of exploring right now. But anyway, with the Emperor energy, that still speaks to success and some kind of consistency. So it does feel like you're feeling a lot more ambitious, and certainly feeling like you've got more structure that you're trying to create here, and there's a certain level of assertiveness. And so again, I still feel like that energy is beneficial all around. You might be doing this with another person here, although somebody here is definitely much more of a dominant energy. So I would just say that. Um, and again, there's something here. Well, okay, we'll just skip right on to the next parts here. Well, okay, with the strength card here also, it does still indicate that there is something coming through where, again, you need to sort of push through, be a little more resilient. The strength card is still indicating that there is something you're kind of struggling through a little bit here, but it's a sense of kind of quiet inner calm strength. It's something where you need to um, it's calm, cool strength. It's not doing a lot of communication. 3 a.m. in India. Yikes. Although I am a late person anyway, so it's probably not that bad for me. I'd understand. But yeah, I just feel like it's more of uh, just a quiet sort of pushing through some situations here, because it is revealing. And again, this is further out, Ace of Cups. So Ace of Cups, I feel like this is moving right into something that has new potential. But again, you're emotionally connected to this. And even with a connection, it feels like there's a lot more of a resurgence of energy there. So if there was repressed emotions and so on before, it feels like that is opening up. It feels like there's a lot more abundance in some way, spiritually, as well as having a sense of just being open to, something that you might have not been before. The heart is moving forward. The heart is feeling more of a positive connection here. So around some decision you're making. Okay, so now we're moving into the Three of Wands. Sorry, that's not standing upright properly. Okay, so happy Easter. Happy Easter to you too. So yeah, the Three of Wands is definitely indicating that there could be a little bit of a pause, but again, there's the arrival of something, some news is coming in, at least in the month of April, that's going to help you to see that the future is going to be more positive. So I feel like you are still reevaluating some of this here. You know, you're busy taking the steps, that kind of thing. But you're bringing that success closer to you in some way in the month of April. So there's growth here because you are dedicated to whatever this goal is. So you're kind of aligning things up here, is what I would say. But it feels like it's still, you're pushing through some things yet. It's not quite in that space of having full control of the scenario. Because again, once you get to the 10 of Wands, you know, you're going to have to let go of some of the responsibilities or too much of the multitasking or whatever it is that was kind of weighing you down. You're going to have to let go of some of those. Like you're spreading yourself around too much, so it feels like there's a bit of a burnout energy there. So again, when we get to the Three of Wands with the Eight of Cups, now that is, it's a pretty good energy indicating that there's still forward motion. But again, it's like you have to release the burden. There's something that's not quite ready to arrive here yet, but you are in the space of it. So like I said, it's Two of Wands is you're at the doorstep. Three of Wands means it's going forward. Oh, yeah, I was just reading your comment. Your place has Easter going on, and we have April Fool's Day already. Yeah, I had a April Fool's Day too, although the days are just flashing by so quick right now. I don't know if that's true for all of you too, but same for me if it is. But yeah, so when we get to the again, three of wands and the Eight of Cups, it does indicate that there is something here of a new start. Again, this is letting go of the past or the things that were holding you back. So there's a sense of inner growth here either way, and you are definitely embracing the unknown, or you're about to. So it does feel like you've got forward thinking going on here. It does feel like there is, you know, you're trying to find a new perspective here and let go of some of those limiting beliefs to achieve these goals, because these are the things that are holding you back. And I feel like, you know, you need to do calculated risks, be open to these new possibilities. But again, there's a certain sense of planning and doing a little bit more research around something, and able for you to kind of move into this new start, this new journey. But again, there definitely does indicate some positives. Okay, nice to see you too, Saranj. You're so funny. But again, this is all around money. So, Page of Pentacles could be dealing with a younger person here too, but there is success moving forward with the Chariot. There's definitely something here dealing with Libra energy here as well. And there is something here along the sense of wealth with the Four of Pentacles. Um, you're not disturbing me so much, not at all. But yeah, Four of Pentacles, like I said, that is the further out energy, but it's definitely quite positive. So I don't know if something is coming in here or you get news of it, but further out, it feels like, you know, the work that has been, um, the work still needs to be done to release some of the negativity and all of those things, opening yourself up, and then you finally are going to be able to go forward here. So, like I said, you're not going to, I feel like you're hopefully not repeating any old patterns, even because whatever this is with the Fool 2.0 card at the beginning, it does look like something is moving forward. So, I feel like again, with the Four of Pentacles, you have a lot of much more um, rooted energy. So there's something here about kind of protecting yourself as well to a certain degree. But again, there's a certain sense of trying to release some of the negative energy so you can go forward here. And the last card's out. Just going to get right into 10 of Wands is the burnout energy. And this is where the cycle is pretty much completing. So you start out with the World card and trying to complete that as well. And then you end up with the 10 of Wands, which does indicate you're in the energy of fully completing it. So again, some of you might resonate a little further out, but it does indicate that you're ready to move on. So the heavy workload or the added pressure or whatever it is that was, you know, a difficult lifestyle for you, I feel like you've got some boundaries around it, and you know you're trying to complete things, but you're knowing that, realizing that you have to get rid of some of the negative toxic things there, do more research and able to open something up, do more reevaluation of a situation so that you're not, you know, feeling this sense of burden around the things that you want. There is also a connection to Queen of Wands energy here as well. And again, the Queen of Wands does indicate this could be also a part of that story here. So the Queen of Wands is somebody that does stand out, tends to get a little more attention, that kind of thing. But it's more, queens in my mind are really more of that energy of, there's a lot of exuberance, like there's a lot of um, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius kind of energy, or has the qualities of this. But again, dealing with two mature energies, two childlike energies here as well, or one. Sometimes they kind of mesh together. But there's definitely an energy of business, in this reading for sure. If there is something here around emotions and that kind of thing, I feel like it could be kind of temperamental emotions. There could be some sense of confusion around a person, another person, again, of Aries, Leo, Sagittarius energy, or is that particular sign. But overall, I feel like it's still moving in a positive direction. So even though there's a sense of confusion and not really quite sure how to read it or what to do with that scenario, I feel like overall it does provide you with a sense of happiness. And the reason why I say that is because the card that followed, the Seven of Cups, which is, of course, trying to figure out how to move forward here in a direction, um, holds the Nine of Cups. So there is something here about very positive energy. So again, I feel like, once you sort of get through this confusion, get through this muddled energy in your head, and make some decisions that um, sort of fall in line with your happiness, you realize that this is actually more of a positive versus a negative connection. So I feel like in terms of a connection, you're sort of vacillating on the fence there, not really sure about something. And it could be kind of viewed as something that is confusing but toxic in some way. But again, there's some kind of empowerment that goes with it. So it's not really as negative as you might be suggesting or looking at the scenario. Because even with the Eight of Cups, there's some kind of discontent, something there as well. But there was something that there's a fellow I listened to who's actually Harvard psychiatrist that was talking about relationships. And he says, in this day and age, we've kind of come to that realization where we have all these things, boundaries around relationships and how we connect with people. And because we're on the internet and we're on, social media more, we tend not to process the emotions. So we end up putting up all these restrictions about how things should look, how things should be. And I'm probably going to take some of this out of context, but my take on it was that he was basically saying people don't invest in working through the hard times anymore. And I'm not saying if it's a really, dysfunctional situation, that's something you need to work on. Clearly, there has to be some boundaries around that kind of toxicity. But in a situation where you feel like you both will grow, and you're both willing to do some of the work to listen, no matter how much, and I think I said on the other video, I was kind of shifting my head in from one zone to another. So when you think about whether or not you get 50-50 out of something, it's usually not 50-50. At different times, you will have 60-40. You may have 70-30 on other times. But so long as there is progress, not perfection, I think that's really a good way of looking toward the future with a connection. So again, if there is still some growth happening in a situation and it's not to a severe detriment of your own, physicality or your own sense of well-being, then I think you still have something to work on. So again, take that with however that resonates for you. I mean, it's, because like I said, I think people are often very quick to um, rule out some of the positives in a scenario versus, what's actually working. So again, there's still growth. If there's still growth, then you still have something to look forward to. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so maybe I'll pull one of the cards as well from, I don't use this one very often, but I will pull it through. It's the Angel Wisdom. Okay. All right, so what's the advice for Gemini? What's the advice for Gemini in the month of April? The advice for Gemini in the month of April. Advice for Gemini in April. Okay, there's so much to celebrate. Send gratitude to the divine and the angels for the peace of prosperity coming to you, peace and contentment in your personal life. Things are going to dramatically improve for you, actually, is what the cards indicate here. So, like I said, all of you, it's going to be a little bit different and it may be resonating a little further out. Let's just pull one more. The end of a situation that brings relief, sadness, or both, the opportunity for new happiness, a weight off your shoulders, the end of an addiction, or a melodramatic reaction. Things are going to move in a totally different direction. Okay, I got to pull one more. The sun, a time of great joy and success, brilliant epiphanies that lead to magical opportunities, plans that work out perfectly, gratitude to the divine. Amazing cards, guys. So good for you, Gemini. You have something to look forward to. And again, if it all doesn't come through in the month of April, just know that that energy is around you and it's moving to work into this happy new beginning for you. You have fantastic cards. Fantastic cards. So, again, this may not resonate for all of you, but the energy is looking pretty incredible. Keep moving forward. Never give up. That's what I have for you for the month of April. Take care.